round of 8. TT1 advancing into the semifinals. QXC waiting for the winner of this game. So the winner of this game will fight QXC in the semifinals of the brackets. In Control and Kiwi Cocky on the other side are battling it out right now. And we will see, I believe this is the final match tonight.
Yes.
We will see the remaining, the semifinals, the bronze match, and the finals, of course, tomorrow. So tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, and then all you Central time zones will be in there.
All right, so we have our first Zerg player of the day. SLusH is going to be the blue Zerg, bottom left-hand corner of Xel'Naga Caverns. Top right, we see RootGaming Mini. Even though it says inflow, just ignore the man behind the curtain. That's not actually an info player. It's just, he already used his name change, and the paid name change is not available yet. So he is representing RootGaming. Both these players representing Root. One of the challengers so far, TT1, does manage to advance in the semis. So we'll have to see what happens with In Control versus Kiwi Kaki. Should be a good match. Might throw that onto YouTube later on.
No doubt.
That should be worth watching down the road. But for now, watching SLusH versus Minigun, which should be a very good match as well. Xel'Naga Caverns for PvZ. It can be really tough early on for the Zerg player because the hatchery is so far away from the ramp. But once you get past that point, it gets really good for the Zerg because there's lots of expansions really close by. You're able to spread your creep between the expansions very easily, get up to lots of bases if your opponent isn't putting pressure on you. So the moral story is put pressure on the Zerg really on this map. Because if you don't,
yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to see SLusH get into position. No, he doesn't have the resources to do this, so he is going to drop a spawning pool actually first there. Maybe just a little bit of fake out here, trying to get Mini to devote some micro there to his probe and force him to keep an eye on that as Manor Pylon goes down. So regardless of what SLusH was planning, that is going to be denied by that pylon until that spawning pool or at least some drones get over there. Mini taking some significant pylon damage from the drone of SLusH. SLusH just letting it kind of do its work there.
Oh, he canceled the pylon.
Yeah, interesting. Wanting to get that money back, he's going to go throw it back down, I guess? Or SLusH is ready to drop it. There it goes.
Oh, and he gets the hatchery down. A lot of players will let that pylon finish. Even though it's 100 minerals, delaying the hatchery in a lot of instances is going to be worth that extra investment. So this drone is still picking away at the pylon in the main base of Minigun. He hasn't been able to chase him out, but look at the energy on the Nexus. I don't know if SLusH has seen that yet because I was watching the micro war at the natural. But if he sees that really high energy, he should be aware of the fact that there's probably going to be some sort of aggressive warp gate play on the way. But this pylon...
Yeah, this drone is going to be a hero if he can knock down this pylon.
It's not going to happen because the zealot's popping out, but that's super annoying. Because you can see that SLusH was out microing Mini with the workers earlier, so he didn't even try to chase that drone away. And he's going to be able to keep this drone alive for quite a bit longer as well. SLusH is doing really good with his control so far in the game. Oh! He mineral walks right through the probe and gets that drone out alive. So we'll have to see how many gateways Mini drops here. He's got a lot of energy, so I'm expecting at least 3.
Yeah, Mini got a second gas started here, or he hasn't started mining from it, but definitely completed the assimilator. So I'm maybe thinking even a 2-gate robo or something. There's another gate, yeah. So 3rd gate started, but robotics probably sure to follow pretty shortly. As he is basically getting a second gas saturated just now. Mini with a huge chrono boost actually going onto the gateway, rallying units down in the south there. He's trying to put pressure here on the queens of SLusH. As Zerglings are being rallied out by SLusH, he is going to be able to start doing counter harassment. One queen does fall though, so very good little poke there from Mini, and going to get chased away by the Zerglings here as one Zealot falls and the second Stalker joins in here to kind of help the the micro Mini as SLuSH's Zerglings now are going to help defend that natural expansion.
Yeah, and the speed on the Zerglings is quite behind. You can see that Minigun actually went for the Nexus instead of the robotics. He's just going to use that extra gas to warp in Stalkers and Sentries, play a little bit defensively. And that delayed speed here is going to It's interesting because he got the pool first, but he still got his speed quite a bit behind. He probably would be able to kill all of that very easily if he had speed. And losing those units that early would have forced a minigun to have to play very defensively, possibly drop a couple cannons as well. So it would have been a really big hit to Mini if he lost those units, but he was able to slip those away, and now he's got them helping to defend his front. He has this, I believe there's a gap there. Is there? No?
Yeah, between the gateway and the forge.
Yeah, between the gateway and the forge. I think there's a gap there, but I'm not entirely sure.
Hmm.
Oh, Overlord! Oh.
Does go down. Interesting. So Mini doing a great job. So yeah, he did definitely set up the 3-gate fast expand. No robo or anything like that.
Oh, no.
There is no gap there, as the Zerglings, I think, are kind of just walking off the wall.
Yeah,
there
it's hard to
as,
tell while
the
it's
cannon
warping
finishes.
in, but that does look like it is closed, and he's putting another pylon over here to just create this sort of a hook with the Nexus, where they're going to have to go all the way around. Sort of nullifies the fact that there's 2 entrances into the natural by just making one entrance over by the second one. So basically all of the defense for miniguns can be happening over here on the left side of his natural. He just has to make sure that SLusH doesn't blow up his wall, a la, Damaga or something. Because this is kind of a juicy wall for a Baneling bust of some sort.
Yeah, how Stargate started for Mini. So a few people saying this is his trademark 3-gate expand into Void Rays. So we'll see if that's what he follows up, but definitely has the Stargate almost complete. Hydralisk, though, coming out for SLusH, so perhaps SLusH has seen this, or he just wanted to get on the Hydralisk, but 7 Hydralisks coming out right now, so that's going to be very able to deal with any Void Rays or at least any air pressure that comes out from Minigun. So hopefully maybe a little bit of a scouting advantage there from SLusH.
He's got a lot of Hydras already. I mean, he's got 5, almost about to be 8 on the field already, and Hydralisks are those units where they really need to hit that critical mass for them to be effective.
Yep.
And he's going to hit that very, very quickly. You can see a Stalker poking in, but he's going to die for the scouting information. He's going to see those Hydras, though, and he's going to be like, oh, crap. There is a Void Ray on the way for Mini, but it's going to be questionable if he's going to be able to get that big number of Void Rays you really need, because versus Zerg, we've seen a lot of Void Ray play, but usually you get a lot of Void Rays to get up to around the 6 or 7 mark. And then it's really tough to deal with if you support them correctly, but with this really high Hydra count, SLusH might be able to just keep him from ever reaching that critical mass of Void Rays. So really good call here by SLusH, predicting him just a little bit. And Minigun ladders a lot, so these two players have played a good number of times on the ladder. So SLusH might just be familiar with this opening and just guess that this is in fact what was coming.
Yeah, he is definitely going to have the advantage as SLusH is moving across the midfield here with his Speedlings and the Hydralisk, bringing Overlords for creep, very essential for retreating here as Hydralisk are deathly slow off creep. Range for Hydralisk almost complete. Second Void Ray will be out, but that's not going to really help Mini as a third Void Ray is in production. I think these Hydralisk here are just going to reach the front. To start doing pretty significant damage. Good force fields there, cutting off about 7
Needs to close that,
Hydralisks.
though. There's a gap for the Hydralisk to be able to walk through, but SLusH is not capitalizing on it.
Wow.
There we go. It does get closed off, so the Hydras will be chased away. And that was not worth it for SLusH. He only took out a couple Stalkers, Zealots, and 2 Cannons. Now the rest of the Hydralisks are going to be running home. He's got 8 more in production, but now Minigun switching over to Colossus. Colossus Void Ray is a super hard combination to stop as Zerg, because Void Rays just decimate Corruptors. Colossus tear Hydralisks apart. You gotta catch this composition before it gets rolling, because if he gets this into the late game and just gets lots of Colossus, lots of Void Rays with Warp Gate units backing up, it's really tough for the Zerg to deal with.
Yeah, totally. SLusH isn't going to let off here. It looks like rallying those Hydralisks way up at the top. He's got almost 2 rows in the first group, so quite a few Hydralisks on the field right now. Still more Void Rays coming out for Mini. This is the last one, I hope. He's got 4 Rays out. Chrono Boost on the Colossus and the Thermal Lances as the Hydralisks do slowly make their way up to the front again. The army of Minigun has been really dwindled, but Again, great force fields here, and a cannon on the right just able to pick off a lot of the units, and none of these Void Rays falling, actually. They're able to stay continuing to battle, and they're going to pick off any Zerglings, as well as continuing to do mega damage to the Hydralisk. One Void Ray finally falls. Remaining sentries of Minigun are down, but all the Hydralisk for SLusH are down, and then the Void Rays just return to clean up the remainder. So SLusH with 2 failed pokes there. He's going to keep trying to reinforce with Hydralisk and Zergling, but as you mentioned, those Colossus are very near to Thermal Lances. 1 Colossus out, second one almost complete, and +1 ship weapons on the way from Mini. So realizing those Void Rays were doing significant damage, going to keep them in the game a little longer, even put out another one.
Yeah, and these Hydra attacks are just really tough for SLusH because they do tons of damage, but they fall down so quickly. Now with the Colossus out, oh, they're just going to die so quickly. He has a Roach Warren, but he just hasn't made really any Roaches. And if he just, I think if he even had a couple Roaches in front of those Hydras, not even too many, just to take some shots instead of these Zerglings, he might have been able to do some more damage here. Just Hydralisks are the glass cannon, or as my friend used to say, the teacup with a bazooka. They hit you very hard, but they don't take much effort to knock over. And that's why pure Hydralisk compositions, you don't see them too often, because, you know, Minigun just consistently warping in Zealots every time that SLusH pokes in, and the Hydras have to shoot the Zealots, and while those are getting taken care of, the Hydras are dying. So, you know, SLusH really needs some other unit. He just finished a Spire, but I don't see any Mulisks in production. He's upgrading the air upgrades. He had a lot of resources, like he was trying to save for mutas, but after that battle he could not afford to save them. He had to get some units out on the field, so he wasn't able to hatch a lot of mutas like he really wanted to, which would have been able to deal with those Void Rays if he got enough out. And then he'd be able to turn around and possibly take out the Colossus with some Corruptors and Mutalisks, but that Mutalisk count's not going to be quite as high as he wanted to see it.
Yeah, he has 10, 11, 12 in production Mutalisks right now, so that is all the remaining money pretty much of SLusH here. He's going to try to just hold off this push, as he does see Mini kind of poking out there. Four Void Rays, 3 Colossus, and a handful of Gateway units from Mini, so he's going to have a pretty menacing force. The Mutalisks do get complete in time, so gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna come down to angles of engagement here. I think if SLusH can get a really good kind of split on this army and get in there, he will be able to do significant damage, but he is going to test the actual base of Minigun, and they're going to get surrounded here. I don't know if that was the best idea, as he is pretty much committing that entire Hydralisk ball, as well as all of his Zerglings, to get 3 cannons.
Yeah, he lost a lot of units there, and he's making more Mutalisks and switching over into Mutaling. But that was not really a time that he wanted to be losing units. He really wanted to be preparing for this really big engagement that is to come. Mini got basically a couple free units in exchange for some cannons, which is so what?
Yeah, exactly.
A couple minerals for Minigun to have to replace. But here comes the big force of Mutalisks. The +1 weapons is just about to finish, but there's quite a few Stalkers here, as well as the Void Rays, so I don't think the Mutalisks are going to be able to cut it. They're falling down really quickly. There's the GG. We will be moving on to game number 2. Before the game started, both players said the maps that they